Hello, I'm an old fart, and I have a guilty pleasure. I like knives. I'm not an expert or an official representative of anything or anybody in any way, blah, 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 blah. I just like knives. Through the COVID lockdown the last year or year and a half, you've been visiting me now and then and seeing a tour through my collection of small folding pocket knives. Today, we're going to keep going with that tour by having a look at this little and amazingly light knife. This is a Benchmade Bugout Mini, emphasize Mini, amazingly light and yet fairly capable little knife. So we're going to have a look at this thing. Come on along. So where did this come from? Well, let's start with the full-size Bugout. Here's the full-size Bugout, and I was surprised how much I liked this knife. I had formed an unfair impression that Bugouts were, quote, plastic knives, and really wasn't inclined to get one. And then I eventually convinced myself to try this unit. This is the -3, the carbon fiber. And boy, did I like this knife. Amazingly capable. As a non-threatening gentleman's knife, my kind of invented category, what I remember I said was, it's just about perfect. It's just a little bit too big to be non-threatening, 3-inch blade. If it was just a little smaller, it might be perfect. And then came the Bugout Mini. So this is, apparently, essentially the same knife, just a little smaller. So, has this done it? Is this the perfect NTGK? It's pretty good, but no, it's not the perfect NTGK. Let's walk through why I think that. So formally, this is a Mini Bugout, a model 533BK-2. BK-2 means it's the all-black, sort of fancy composition scale model. Basics, it is a thumb stud opening axis lock knife, same as most Benchmade knives. So open with a thumb stud. Benchmade patented axis lock, which is really nice to use. And it's running on phosphor washers, so pretty much the standard. The thing about this knife is its size and its weight, so let's look through that. So open, it's 165 millimeters, which is smallish. To use the international scale, it's about 0.9 pocket calculators, 0.85, something like that. And sort of less meaningful size comparisons. You probably have to start by comparing it to the Bugout, of course. It's the whole point, is it's a small Bugout. So there's the full-size Bugout. And it is, as you can see, it is considerably smaller than the full-size Bugout. Not just in length, but in the other dimensions as well. It's slightly thinner handle, thinner in this dimension, and sort of just generally looks smaller. So it's certainly achieved the small enough to be non-threatening objective. Compared to some other things, Mini Griptilian, it's smaller, slightly smaller than a Mini Griptilian, which I find to be just about the perfect size knife for a NTGK. It is slightly smaller than a Chris Reeve small Savenza. And it turns out it's exactly the same size-ish as a Chris Reeve small Nkosi. Now, this surprised me when I started collecting the Chris Reeves, of course, because I assumed the small Savenza, the small Nkosi were the same size. They're not. So it's about the same size as a small Nkosi. Now, the thing about this knife isn't really its weight. The thing about this knife isn't really its size, I should say. The thing about this knife is its weight. This is light. This is 42 grams. This is incredible. The Bugout, which was already amazingly light, is more than that. 47 grams, I think. So it's lighter than the Bugout, considerably lighter than the Bugout. It is half the weight of the small Nkosi. So even though they're the same size, half the weight. So this is 80 grams, 42 grams. Incredible. The only thing that it's close to in weight is the Almar Ultralight. So there's the Mini Bugout, there's the Almar Ultralight. And they are about, well, similar weight. In fact, the Almar is slightly lighter. So 42 grams, 37 grams, but no comparison. This knife is tiny. This knife is flimsy. I worry about damaging this knife. I don't worry about damaging this one. It's a well-built, sturdy knife. So really quite incredible what they've achieved in weight. The blade is a drop point, traditional sort of Benchmade drop point blade. 2.8 inches, so under 3 inches for places where that matters. It's S30V steel. I'll come back and talk a bit more about that. It's not as impressive as I'd like. This model, the BK, is all black. So the body is all black, the screws, the hardware are all black, and the blade is blackened. Again, not actually something I care for. We'll come back to that and talk about it a little more. Now let's talk about the body material, because the body material and the body design is really how they achieve this amazing low weight. So where the Benchmade, the full-size Bugout was carbon fiber, or real carbon fiber, the Mini is this new material that they're calling CF-Elite. CF is obviously meant to make you think of carbon fiber. And in fact, when I ordered it, I was kind of assuming it was carbon fiber. I should have done a little more research. It's not. It is a nylon polymer, so plastic, but it has carbon fiber reinforcing in it. And what they say is that the carbon fiber allows them to make the whole thing lighter. You know, the carbon fiber adds enough strength that it doesn't have to be more and heavier polymer. They say it's lighter and stronger than the old standard scales on the Mini Bugout, which was their Grivery, whatever the hell that's called stuff. So, and you know, I'd say, okay, it probably achieves that. It's very light and it feels stiff and sturdy, and that's good. The other nice thing is it is textured. It's textured sort of at two levels. As you can see, you know, here, there's a definite or deliberate knurling has been pushed into the scale. So there's a really noticeable grip there. But even on the smooth part of the body, it's not smooth. It has a slight sandblasted feel to it. So there's sort of two frequencies of texture. And the result is that it feels very grippy. It's a very nice, easy thing to hold. I already mentioned the body's all black. I looked into, by the way, into getting third-party carbon fiber scales for the knife because, you know, I really like the carbon fiber. And there are carbon fiber scales available. But from what I could tell from the specifications, they're actually heavier than these. You add carbon fiber and the weight goes up, which is kind of unusual. So this stuff definitely seems to be sort of weight optimized. Clip, same story as the Bugout. It is a deep carry clip and it's a miniature clip to take a gram or two off the weight. And it is two-sided. Here it is mounted for right-hand carry. It can go on the other side for left-hand carry. But like all axis locks, it can't go on the other end for tip down because there's mechanism there that would get in the way of holes and screws. There is a lanyard hole. It's not the fancy backspacer lanyard hole of the full-size Bugout, just a hole, but it is there. You could add a lanyard. And yeah, you know, axis locks, thumb stud axis locks, fully ambidextrous, except for which side the screw heads are on. There, the pivot screw head is on. The knife is identical on the two sides. So fully ambidextrous lefties would find that it works beautifully for them. And made in the US for people who care about that. So let's run through it. It is a really nice little knife and I like a lot about it. There's some things I don't like, or at least that I'm not impressed about. So what I like, it's incredibly light, like the full-size Bugout, incredibly light. But it still feels sturdy and secure. There's no blade play, there's no feeling of flimsiness. It's stiff, it's secure, just incredibly light. But you know, I must say, here's the full-size Bugout. It doesn't keep that shock factor. When I pick up the full-size Bugout, every time I am shocked how light it is. It's just, you know, oh my God, like this, even though it's lighter, I don't get that feeling because although it's lighter, it's also smaller. And I think the lightness to smallness ratio is less impressive. So this is really light, but it's less surprising that it's so light because it's small. So anyway, it is really light. The other thing too is, of course, there's a minimum weight because of the blade. I mean, you can make the handles lighter and lighter as far as you want, but the blade imposes a minimum weight. So anyway, it's lighter than the Bugout. It's very light. But the lightness isn't really the conversation starter that it is on the Bugout. Anyway, I like the lightness. I like the mechanism. Thumb studs are my favorite. This opens smoothly. You can open it slowly. You get a good secure lock even if you open it slowly. And you can flick it open. Like that a lot. The axis lock I like because with an axis lock, when you start the closing operation, you have no body parts in harm's way. So it's a nice feeling of safety. I will mention that, like the Bugout, you can set it so that it'll drop shut. And as you can see, I haven't done that. I've set it to shake shut and finish with my finger because I don't like blades falling shut. I don't like the idea of disengage and the blade falls. I might have a finger in there or something. So you can set it to drop shut. It's quite adjustable. I haven't done that. Finally, it's pretty comfortable to hold. Now it is small, but it's light, first of all, so it's certainly not tiring to hold. You get a 3-finger grip, sort of maybe 3.5-finger grip. It is so small, and the clip is so small that there really aren't any hot spots. So it's a good, comfortable grip. And the knurled surface is really grippy, so it's comfortable to hold. Now, it's not a big knife. You're not going to cut firewood all day with this knife, but it's certainly comfortable to hold for sort of light office cutting. What I don't like, a couple of things I don't like, and then I'm going to invent a new category of think I don't like, but not sure that I can justify that. So anyway, what I don't like. First of all, a couple of things about the blade. The blade wasn't as sharp as I would like out of the box. It was okay. I mean, it was utility sharp. It was cut tape, cut string sharp. But it wasn't show-off sharp. It wasn't really even sort of fingernail dragging sharp. It was just barely paper cutting sharp. So not as sharp as I would have liked. It was easy to fix that. I just stropped it on some green stropping compound and it brought it up fairly easily. But it's not retaining that stropped edge very well either. It's like right now, I've cut a few boxes and things with it, and again, it's sharp enough. It's not bragging sharp. It's not, it really needs to be properly sharpened. I haven't done that yet, but what I did do was looking into the possibility of properly sharpening it. I checked the bevel angle and was quite surprised. Actually, here, let me do that. I'm just going to get my angle meter here. Sorry, I should have thought of getting this out of the drawer before I started this video, but yeah, oh well, getting old. So here we are with an angle meter. Just put the blade in it and get it so it's centered properly. Now, I don't know if you can see that. I'll put a still photo in here, but the bevel is nowhere near centered. I'm getting 15 or 16 degrees on one side and 21 degrees on the other side. So I mean, obviously production machine auto sharpened and not done very well. The bevel is way off. And so when I do get around to sharpening this, I'll reprofile the blade and properly center it. And it's just a little disappointing. Now, of course, that doesn't affect performance. It doesn't affect how it cuts. It's just an attention to detail that I would rather it was done better. It's not something I brag about. You know, when I pull out a Chris Reeve knife, the attention to detail, that the fact that it's just done right in every way is something to brag about. Now, 3 times the price, so you get what you pay for. But, so anyway, I was a little disappointed at that. Next, I ordered this model, the BK-2, because I incorrectly thought I was getting carbon fiber. That's why I ordered this model. I don't hate it, but I didn't get what I thought I was getting. But the BK, it means it comes with the black blade. I don't particularly like black blades. It's okay. Why don't I like them? Well, first of all, it looks scary. I'll come back to that when I do my non-threatening rating. But why would a blade be black? Well, it's black so that you can do horrible things in the dark, right? So it looks scary. And second, it shows scratches. As you use the blade, it will get all scratched up. And I don't like that. I like my blades to be works of art. Now, I've seen some people in the knife forums saying, "Oh no, black's better because then it gets all scratched up and that proves that it's a user." Right? And okay, if that makes you happy, go ahead. I'm not actually insecure about whether people think my knife is a user. And I would rather it not look like shit after a few months of use. So I don't particularly like the black blade, but it's okay. It is slightly cramped to hold. Again, it's a small knife. That's not surprising. And the final thing I'll list is it's not as bad, but the same as the Bugout, it has this weird cutout in front of the heel of the blade when it's closed. And I mean, they do that to take a little bit of handle material out, obviously, just to make it a little lighter. You know, most knives, here's a mini grip, most knives don't do that. They sweep the body up to cover the heel of the blade. So both of these knives have that weird cutout behind the blade, and I think that looks a little bit kludgy. So it's not as pronounced as on the full-size Bugout. Okay, finally, a new category. Sort of, this is in between like and don't like, and I don't know what to do with this, but the S30V steel. I'm not a metallurgist. S30V is good steel, right? It's really good steel. It's not great. It's not modern great steel. It's 20 years old, and there have been a lot of sort of minor improvements. S30V became S35V or VN, which then became S45VN. You know, there's a couple of decades of minor improvements beyond S30V, and now just because something better has come out doesn't make the old product suddenly get worse. There's nothing wrong with it. I have no qualifications and no sensible reasons to be dissatisfied with the steel. It's just that there is better available at about the same price. I'm starting to see this in forums. I'm starting to see S30V referred to as the best value steel. I don't want a value steel. I want a good steel. So let me suggest a couple of categories. Okay, there's apology steel. There's, you know, when your knife is made of AUS 8 or HCR13 MOV, you know, you apologize. Yeah, I know it's crappy steel, but it's a cheap knife, right? And then there's bragging steel, right? You know, M390, S90V, S90V, you know, S45VN, S110V. There's bragging steel. So apology steel, bragging steel, and this one is sort of in between. I don't feel I have to apologize for it, but I'm not going to brag about it either. So anyway, so there you go. I don't know what to do with that comment. So that's kind of the overview. Let's run on to my rating system. We'll start with NTGK, the non-threatening gentleman's knife, and we'll do non-threatening first. So for non-threatening, mainly good. It's small, smaller than the full-size Bugout, so the size isn't a threat. You can open it and close it slowly. So you can open this knife slowly. And when you're trying to be non-threatening, that's important. Don't do that in front of nervous people, because they don't understand that that's not a switchblade and you're not a gangster. You can even open it two-handed when you're in front of nervous people. That's very important. You can close it two-handed. And the other thing I like about it, because it's so small and light, there really isn't much of a sounding board effect. So the open is quiet, even if you flick it open. You know, if you flick it open, if you have a moment of losing your senses and you flick it open, it's not very loud. People might not notice that. By the way, back on the things I don't like, I should have mentioned that it can misfire. Now, of course, I can't make it happen. But if you're not aggressive enough there on the opening, you can get a misfire. Now, if you set it looser, that doesn't happen, of course. So anyway, non-threatening. So it's quiet, it's slow, you can open it two-handed, it's understated, there's no tactical shapes or tactical decorations on it, and it's very light. Should you hand this to an office mate because they need to cut a package, the weight does not sort of impose upon them, and they don't go, oh God, what is a hunting knife? I think the lightness is part of the non-threateningness. The only thing bad I'll say that I think of about non-threatening is the all black. I mean, why would a knife, including the blade, be all black? And obviously the answer is the only conceivable reason is because you're planning to do bad things at night. Okay, and this will help you not get caught. Right? So I think black is threatening. Nevertheless, that's mainly a list of good stuff about non-threatening. I'd give it an A+ for non-threatening. How about GK as a gentleman's knife? Well, the good is the ultralight. Okay? There's essentially no weight in your pocket. So that plus the deep carry clip, this is very pocket friendly. It does not weigh down the edge of your dress pants or deform them. Very little, assuming you have it clipped, very little is protruding from your pants. If you're wearing dark colored pants, it will go unnoticed, and that's a really good thing as a gentleman's carry. The bad is the non-exotic materials. You know, gentlemen's pocket jewelry tends to be made out of exotic materials because it's something to fondle and show off and brag about as much as a tool. Well, plastic handle, even if it's got some carbon fiber in it, S30V blade, this is just not exotic material, so I'm not going to brag about the materials. And the black blade, I think, is not gentlemanly. It's tactical, and for a blade to really shine as a gentleman's blade, there we are, it should be beautiful to look at. This is very functional. It's a fine blade, but it's not beautiful to look at. So I'm going to give it an A as a gentleman's knife, which is good. It's just not an A+. And so all told, I am going to reluctantly give it an A+ as a non-threatening gentleman's knife, an NT/GK rating. I struggled. Maybe it's only an A, but they've done such a good job of making it small and light that I think I need to give it the credit there. So I'm going to give it an A+ as an NT/GK. Next rating would be the KN rating, which is what would my knife nerds think of this knife? Well, the first thing a knife nerd will notice is its amazing ultralight nature. A knife nerd will pick that up and go, oh my God, is that ever light? It must be flimsy. Open it, play with it, try it out. It's not. It is an engineering model. It is an engineering marvel. They've achieved ultra-lightness without it being flimsy. Knife nerds will be impressed. Knife nerds will be less impressed with the materials. Plastic handle. Putting a little carbon fiber in it doesn't make it not plastic. S30V steel. Again, between apology steel and bragging steel. And slightly cramped. And the occasional misfire when opening it. So knife nerds will like it, but I don't think that they will covet it. I'll call it an A as a KN rating. And finally, the CMR rating, the cut myself rating. Despite handling it a lot, taking it apart, playing with it, carrying it for several weeks, I have never cut myself, not even a little bit, so it gets an A for that. So, in summary, it's a nice little knife. They've done this well. They took all the good ideas in the full-size Bugout, and they made it a little smaller and even lighter than the already shockingly light Bugout. So, well done, very impressive. This goes to the office with me now and then. It's not very decorative, so it's not my choice as pocket jewelry. My pocket jewelry that happens to be able to cut something would be a knife, something like this. This knife goes to the office with me when I want something that is really, really inconspicuous, ultralight in my pocket, it doesn't stick out, but I might happen to need to cut a few things. So, very functional, non-jewelry. So am I looking for just a tool, damn good one, or gentleman jewelry? So it goes to the office with me now and then, but it has not kicked some of my fancier knives out of first place. The other thing that surprises me is the full-size Bugout. This really excited me. Okay. This doesn't excite me the same way the full-size Bugout did. I generally, this is something I've never really talked about, generally before I make one of these videos, I use all my knives, of course. I tend to use them in rotations. But just before I make one of these videos, I make a point of carrying the knife that I'm going to talk about full-time for a couple of weeks. So this knife has been in my pocket for the last couple of weeks in preparation for this video. And the 2 weeks with this Mini Bugout have been dull. It cuts fine. I've used it a lot. I've had to open boxes and cut tape and cut string and such things, and it's got used, and there's just been nothing wrong with it. But I haven't been taking it out to admire it or to play with it. It's just not exciting or inspiring. And why? I don't. Well, probably because I'm shallow. So, but if I was looking for excuses other than me, it's less exotic steel, sloppy sharpening, uninteresting scale material. It's not rare or hard to get. There's some knives I have that I'm pleased just to have managed to get one. This isn't one of those. You can go to the store and buy this, and it's a fine knife, but it isn't inspiring. It might be one of your higher value knives if you're in one of the places where a knife has to be under 3 inches to be legal. For me, the full-size Bugout, or full-size Bugout, or one of the more premium small knives in my collection are getting carried more. Anyway, there we go. That brings us to the end of a look at this neat little knife. Amazingly light, sturdy, well built, well done. Not my favorite for reasons I really can't explain, but a knife that deserves respect and that you can be impressed with. Benchmade Mini Bugout. Thanks for watching and following along. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.